Pushing Back the Shadows, support and awareness for mental health. Hello and welcome to episode 45 of the Pushing Back the Shadows podcast. My name is Alex Davis. I'm the founder of Pushing Back the Shadows. So this brings us to the conclusion of our big 6 big mental health questions series. I know it's only been a couple of episodes and we've answered a couple of questions in each episode, but I hope you found it useful. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the last 2 questions, which are, how do I make others understand? And what do I do now? Okay, how do I make others understand, and what do I do now? Because those are 2 questions that I've definitely asked before. You know those times, those moments of frustration when you sit there and you think, oh, for goodness sake, how do I make you understand what I'm going through? Yeah? Do you ever get those with me so far? Well, the simple answer, and you're not going to like this, but the simple answer is you don't. You don't make people understand. Because the truth is, some people might get it instantly. And they might, you can explain it and some people go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I got you. I'm with you now. Or you get the ones who could get it, but they just need a little bit of, I was going to say encouragement. It's not exactly encouragement. It's more they just need pointing in the direction of good resources for them to look at, to read, to understand. Yeah? And then you get some people who, unfortunately, won't get it at all. Because it happens, doesn't it? There are some things that people will get, some things people won't get, and some things some people just don't get at all. Think of it in this way. Learning a language. Okay, I'm one of these annoying people. I sit down, I start learning the language, give me enough time, and yeah, I got it. Other people I know might be quicker, some people might be a bit slower, but really the speed doesn't matter. But then you've got some people who say, oh, do you know what, I'm absolutely hopeless with languages, I can't learn, I struggle with my native one, let alone trying to learn another one. And yes, I've had a few people say that to me. But it is something a little like that, some people can do it, some people can't, some people with the right tools and right guidance can get there. So how do you make people understand? Well, yeah, honest answer is you don't. You can't, because you cannot make people understand. But that doesn't mean all is lost, because there are plenty of resources out there that you can give to other people, and you can say, well, look, okay, do you know what? I can't help you understand this, because I don't even understand it properly myself. But what you can do is you can have a look at this, or that, or the other, and that will tell you what you need to know. A good example of this is mind.org.uk, the charity Mind. They do a lot of sections on each mental illness for friends and family. So you have your section where it gives you symptoms, what to do if you think you might have this. It gives you common treatments. And it also contains, as I said, a friends and family section where these friends, these family members can go and they can look at different ideas of how they can help. And it's a really good initiative. In fact, it was part of the inspiration behind when I got Pushing Back the Shadows started. It was something that I chose to do as well, because there aren't that many resources out there for other people. For those who suffer, yeah, great, there's plenty. But for other people, I struggle to find them. So that's what we do. And I'll give you a couple of links as well to things that you can recommend people people too. So things like our Talking Things Through series, that helps you have those mental health conversations. If you want to explain to somebody else just how yours affects you and so on, then this is a good resource for you because it will help you get those conversations going. Alternatively, we've got Practically Perfect, which is aimed more at friends and family members, but that gives you some different ways that you can actually support somebody with mental illness. And then, as I say, you've got other organisations like Mind, who will do similar things to what we do. And there are a few different resources out there, different things that you can use for your friends, for your family members, to help explain. But, and this is a big but, and yeah, I know I'm sitting on my big butt, but that's beside the point. It's important to remember that not everybody will understand what you're going through. Now, I know that kind of goes without saying, people who've never experienced it will never understand. Well, that's not strictly true, because some people can understand better than you think. But it's important to remember that even people who have suffered with these conditions, whatever the condition that you have might be, even they cannot fully understand. Okay? We'll use me as an example. I've done an eating disorder awareness week. I've talked to people with anorexia, with bulimia. I've learned more about that condition. But even I, with all that that I've done, I can't understand it fully. I can do quite well. It might not be perfect, but I can understand a good chunk of it. But there are people out there who just won't get it. Another example would be there's somebody I know who's had depression, and they really don't understand mine. There are ways that it affects me that it never affected them, ways that I deal with it that they don't understand, and do you know what? That's not a criticism, because that's okay. Everybody's experience is different, as I keep mentioning on the blog. Everybody's experience is different, and no two experiences are exactly the same. Which means that we can't always understand what somebody else is going through. That doesn't mean we can't try. Because as long as whoever it is who doesn't understand is trying, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's important to remember, as we signpost people to these resources, to the mental health advocates who perhaps specialise in talking about some of these different mental illnesses, it's important to remember not everybody that we encounter or we live with or have around us will understand what we're going through. But really, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as we've done our bit, that's what counts. I'll give you another example. I went to Spring Harvest a couple of years ago. It's a Christian festival. Not nearly as bad as it sounds if you're not a Christian. And one of the workshops there I found quite interesting. It was all about faith and healing. It was led by Christy Wimber, and I found it very, very... Well, the title grabbed me because I thought, you know what, how many times would you pray for things like this to be taken away from you? And my parents are both church ministers, and my brother and sister-in-law did theology. So there is that kind of background to me, if you like. And I know that a lot of people have prayed for my mental illness. But what happens if that healing does not come? Does it mean God doesn't exist? Does it mean he doesn't care? What does it mean? And Christy Wimber, who was leading this, had a very interesting take on it. She said that it's not up to us, because they put it into almost like this 5-step plan, for want of a better word. You close your eyes, you lay your hands on somebody, you pray in the name of Jesus, and so on, and alakazam, it's supposed to happen. But it doesn't work that way. Because if you believe in God, you believe that it's in His time, not ours. His time. Your job is to bring whoever you're praying for to God and bring God to that person, and that's it. So likewise, hopefully you're sticking with me through this, but likewise, if we're trying to get somebody to understand our mental health condition, it's not up to us to make them understand. We have the responsibility to point them in the right direction, signpost them to the resources, or to at least try and talk to them. But ultimately, it is for them to understand. As long as we've done our bit, which means not just putting up the walls, oh no, you don't understand, go, there's no point, you don't understand. Instead of doing that, as long as we've actually started those conversations, sent them in the right direction, we've done our bit. And if they don't understand, then that's okay, we've done our bit. So as I said, I'll include a load of links to some of the resources that I've mentioned, as well as our resources page, because we have a lot of these on there as well. And if you're having any difficulties with friends and family members who just don't seem to understand, feel free to send them our way, because you never know, we might have answers that'll help them. But that brings us on to the next question. What do I do now? Which I'll tell you about. You're listening to Pushing Back the Shadows. So what do I do now? What do I do now? Now this is again going to be one of those answers that you either like or you don't like, okay? Because it can be a very, very difficult thing for different people, okay? So do bear with me on this one. But in terms of what do I do now, the answer is, quite simply, you live. You live. And see, here's the kicker. It's a lot easier said than done. Because you might be thinking, well, I've got this debilitating condition, because a lot of mental illnesses can be quite debilitating. How on earth do I then carry on with this? How do I live my life? Because really it feels like you're stuck in a pit or a rut, you cannot get out, you cannot move. How do you live with that? I've said it before. You have to find what works for you. You have to find the reasons to hold on. Okay? You find the reasons to hold on. You find what works for you to keep you going. Because, let's face it, it's going to be different for everybody, isn't it? There are going to be different things that will keep you holding on. And some of those things will work for other people, some of those things won't. It's all almost, for want of a better word, it's almost personal preference. But you find what works for you. In my case, my family works for me. They keep me going. I've got friends. Keep me going. And that's what I'm saying to you. It's about finding those things that you can hold on to. Moments to live for. In one of my upcoming posts, Not that long ago, I attended the graduation of my stepdaughter. She's 4, so was graduating from nursery. And seeing her stood there in the cap and gown, I didn't realise they get them to wear that. But that in itself was a moment to live for. And likewise, you find the things that will keep you going, things that will get you through. Yeah, certainly some of it's a little bit of trial and error. I mean, I talk a lot about video games. That video games are one of the ways that I cope with my conditions. You find what works for you, and you run with it. Because it's going to be different for everybody. Not everything that works for you will work for everybody else. So as I said, that's kind of where it turns, where it kind of ties into personal preference. But if you can find that one thing to hold on to, and don't let go. So what do you do now? You live. Because I'll tell you a secret. With mental health, in a number of cases, you are your biggest enemy. Because there'll be so many things that your brain will say, no, can't do, not going to do, can't do. Whereas actually, if you give it a go, you might surprise yourself. In this week's video for our YouTube series, I talk about overcoming the anxieties that I have, and it was things like I went for blood donation because I hate needles. Okay, my mum still has memories of me going in for a blood test, and this was in the Czech Republic. The doctors all wear white, and the doctor coming out looking like he'd just done, major surgery or something. Because I really don't like needles, and yet I went for this blood donation, and I went on my own. It was a little win for my anxiety. Likewise, I was washing up the other day, and this was Sunday actually, and one of the wine glasses that I was washing shattered in my hand, to the point where I actually needed to go and have stitches. And again, needles. I don't like needles, but I did it. So you find the things that can help you get through those things, whatever your mental health condition is, whatever difficulties you face. But the key is to have a little bit more self-belief. Just that little bit of encouragement perhaps from somebody else, so that you can start getting through some of the things. Because really, the only person who's going to stop you is you. And that is kind of the catch-22 that we live with. It's our mental health condition, but we are the biggest barrier to getting it sorted. Say we need therapy. Oh, no, I can't do like group therapy. No, not possible. Or say we need medication to stabilise it. No, everybody says medication's bad. I can't do that. And yet, sometimes, if we dare to live a little, that's when we find that we can start getting through. Okay? So you never know. You never know. Take the plunge. Take the risk. Get a little bit out of your comfort zone. And that's what you do now. Don't let it stop you. I'd like to leave you with this. It's a little quote from a song that I really like, and I've mentioned this before in a post, but I think it just speaks volumes to what I'm trying to say here. It says, would you dare to believe that you still have a reason to sing? Because the pain that you've been feeling, it can't compare to the joy that's coming. So hold on, you gotta wait for the light. Press on and just fight the good fight. Because the pain that you've been feeling, it's just the dark before the morning. So what do you do now? You live. Take the plunge, take that step, and live. You've been listening to Pushing Back the Shadows. To find out more, head over to pushingbacktheshadows.com and hit subscribe to get all of our latest updates straight to your inbox. Alternatively, connect with us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/AlexDavisPBTS, or you can visit us on Twitter at AlexDavisPBTS. Enable Pushing Back the Shadows to continue supporting people in the mental health community, their friends and their family. By pledging just $1 a month, you could help us to continue supporting people with depression, with anxiety, with bipolar and other mental illnesses. You can also unlock exclusive rewards, behind the scenes, sneak previews of upcoming posts and much, much more. So head over to www.patreon.com/AlexDavisPBTS to find out more.